Have you ever felt the crushing weight of having no more excuses? That moment when you realize there's no one left to blame, no heaven to look up to asking for answers, no destiny written in the stars. Nietzsche didn't kill God to set us free. He merely forced us to face a terrifying truth. We killed him, and now we alone carry the weight of every choice, every failure, every wasted moment. We live in a strange era. We proclaim freedom at every corner, celebrate individual autonomy as humanity's greatest trophy, but few understand what this really means. When Nietzsche declared that God was dead, he wasn't making a simple theological statement. He was diagnosing the collapse of an entire system of meaning that had sustained Western civilization for millennia. Think about it. For centuries, people woke up knowing their place in the cosmos. There was a divine order, a transcendent purpose, an absolute moral compass carved into the tablets of Sinai. But something happened. Science advanced. Enlightenment reason swept away the mysteries, and suddenly, that protective sky began to crack. What Nietzsche saw wasn't the literal death of a deity, but the end of an era where absolute values came from outside, from above, from somewhere beyond our fragile humanity. And he realized something that most still refuse to accept. Without that external structure, we become solely responsible for creating meaning in a universe that offers none. You know what's most frightening about all this? It's not the absence of God. It's the absolute presence of yourself. For millennia, humanity could hide behind divine commandments, predetermined destinies, cosmic plans, your failures, the devil's temptations, your successes, God's blessings, your suffering, a sacred test. But now, in this post-God era that Nietzsche announced, where do you hide? Every morning you waste, every dream you abandon, every moment of cowardice before your own greatness, all of this falls entirely on your shoulders. There's no more original sin to explain your mediocrity. There's no more future paradise promising rewards for a passive life. There's only you, here, now, with the absolute and terrifying freedom to create or destroy yourself. And most people, they pretend freedom while chaining themselves to new forms of slavery, trading old deities for political ideologies, self-help gurus, social media algorithms, anything that frees them from the unbearable weight of being completely free. Can you feel it? That emptiness that appears at 3 in the morning when all distractions cease. That sensation of floating in space without gravity, without direction, without purpose, inscribed in the stars. This isn't depression, it's lucidity. It's what Nietzsche called nihilism, and he knew it would be the great crisis of the 20th century and beyond. Because when you truly understand that there's no guaranteed cosmic meaning, that there's no instruction manual written by divine hands, something inside you panics. The human mind didn't evolve to handle absolute freedom. We're creatures that seek patterns, structures, certainties. So when these structures crumble, when we realize we're alone in an indifferent universe, most people run back to any cage that offers comfort. They become religious fundamentalists or ideological militants. They bury themselves in work, consumption, infinite entertainment, anything to avoid facing the abyss, anything to avoid feeling the crushing weight of absolute autonomy. But here's the secret few realize. This weight, this existential terror you feel, isn't a curse. It's an invitation. If you're reading this and feeling growing discomfort, if something inside you is squirming with these ideas, congratulations, you're waking up. Because the vast majority will never even come close to this awareness. They'll live and die on autopilot, following scripts written by others, seeking external approval, building lives that look impressive on the outside, but are completely empty inside. And in the end, on their deathbed, they'll have one devastating thought: I never truly lived. If this reflection is resonating with you, if you feel there's something deeper waiting to be discovered, subscribe to continue this journey of awakening. Because what comes next might completely change how you see your existence. So what did Nietzsche really want to tell us? That the death of God isn't the end, but the beginning. It's the moment when humanity can finally mature, stop being a child dependent on a heavenly father, and become a creator of its own values. He called this the Übermensch, the overman, but this term was so misunderstood it almost lost its meaning. It's not about racial or physical superiority, it's about psychological and spiritual transcendence. It's about becoming someone capable of looking into the void without blinking, capable of creating meaning where there is none, capable of dancing in chaos instead of being paralyzed by fear. Think about how you live now. How many of your choices are truly yours? How many times do you act out of social obligation, family expectation, fear of judgment? How many times do you stop pursuing your dreams because some internal voice, inherited from centuries of moral conditioning, says you shouldn't, don't deserve, can't? That voice isn't God. It's God's ghost, and it continues governing your life even after you stopped believing. Nietzsche saw this clearly. Most people who proclaim atheism still live according to Christian values of renunciation, guilt, and forced humility. They killed God in theory, but left his corpse to govern their souls. Real transformation begins when you accept something radical. You are the legislator of your own existence. There's no higher authority to validate your choices. There's no cosmic judge marking goodness points. There's only you and the life you're building minute by minute, choice by choice. And this means every wasted moment is a betrayal of yourself. Every time you act from fear instead of courage, you're betraying the deepest potential of what you could be. Every time you seek external approval instead of following your own internal compass, you're living someone else's life. Nietzsche was brutal about this because he understood what was at stake. It's not just about happiness or success. It's about existential authenticity. It's about the difference between existing and living fully. And most people choose merely to exist because truly living requires facing the terror of total freedom. But look, there's something even deeper, something Nietzsche understood, and that few philosophers had the courage to articulate. The death of God didn't create nihilism. It merely revealed the nihilism that was always there, hidden under layers of dogma and tradition. The universe never had intrinsic meaning. The stars don't care about you. Time has no purpose. Matter simply exists, dancing according to blind physical laws. And we humans are just conscious apes on a spinning rock, desperately trying to create sense amid chaos. But here's the twist. This isn't destructive nihilism. It's creative nihilism. If there's no given cosmic meaning, then you're free to create whatever meaning you choose. If there are no eternal values carved into the fabric of reality, then you can forge your own values through will and action. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not in the sense of dominating others, but in the sense of mastering yourself, of becoming master of your own existence. Think about the people you most admire, those who left real marks on the world. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't follow established rules. They looked into the void, into the absence of guarantees, and said, I will create something from nothing. I will live as if my life matters, not because a God said it matters, but because I choose to make it matter. This is the true weight of autonomy that Nietzsche forced us to face. And it's simultaneously the most terrifying and most liberating thing you can realize. Because once you fully accept this, once you stop waiting for external salvation, external validation, external meaning, something extraordinary happens. You become unstoppable, not in an arrogant sense, but in the sense that nothing can steal your power anymore. Criticism, opinions, failures, all of this loses the power to define you because you've understood that you're the only judge that matters. Here's the final revelation, the secret Nietzsche whispered through his writings and that most people never really hear. The death of God is the birth of you, not the small, conditioned, fearful you that was molded by social expectations, but the original, powerful, creative you that was always asleep under layers of conformity. This you doesn't need approval because it's the very source of value. This you doesn't fear death because it understands that the only truly terrifying thing is never having lived. This you looks at the chaos of existence and sees not a nightmare, but an infinite blank canvas. And every day, every choice, every action becomes a brushstroke in this work of art that is your life. Do you still carry the weight of autonomy? Yes, you always will. But now you understand that this weight isn't a burden. It's the only thing that makes your existence meaningful. It's what transforms you from a passive object reacting to the world into a creative force shaping your reality. Nietzsche didn't give us easy answers or cheap comfort. He gave us the most difficult and most liberating truth. You are alone, completely free, and entirely responsible. And that, my friend, is both terror and glory. The choice of how you respond to this truth defines not only your life, but who you truly are. If these words touch something deep in you, if you feel you're ready to stop merely existing and start truly living, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, someone you know is asleep, waiting to wake up. Because the greatest revolution doesn't happen in the streets. It happens inside you, the moment you decide to carry the weight of your autonomy like a crown, not like a cross.